Did you know that in some areas of the UK, crime has jumped by more than 30% in just the past year? And no, it's not just minor stuff like shoplifting or petty vandalism. We're talking about serious crimes, things like violent assaults, knife attacks, gang-related incidents, and even organized criminal groups taking over entire communities. Some towns and cities have become so dangerous that even the police are warning locals to be extra cautious, especially at night. It's gotten to the point where certain streets are considered no-go zones after dark. And here's the shocking part, some of these dangerous places might be towns you'd never expect. While London often comes to mind when people think about crime in the UK, the reality is that some smaller cities have higher crime rates per person. One city, in particular, the one that ranks as the most dangerous on our list, has seen such a spike in violence that some locals say it feels like they're living in a completely different world. So, what's really going on? Why are these places getting more dangerous? What's fueling the rise in violent crime? Is it gang activity, a shortage of police, drug trafficking, or something else entirely? We've gone deep into the data, the news stories, and the personal accounts to bring you the full picture. From areas plagued by rising gang violence to towns struggling with stretched police resources, we're revealing the top 10 most dangerous cities in the UK right now. Stay tuned, because you might be surprised to see which places made the list, and you'll definitely want to hear which city lands at number 1. And if you happen to live in one of these spots, well, let's just say you might want to check your locks before bed tonight. Let's get started. At number 10, we've got Leicester. Now, Leicester isn't a city that most people immediately associate with high crime. For many years, it was seen as a diverse, relatively peaceful place. But things have changed. In 2024, Leicester experienced a 22% increase in violent incidents compared to the previous year. That's a worrying jump. Areas like Highfields, Braunstone, and parts of the city centre have been seeing more and more knife attacks, gang clashes, and drug-related crimes. A lot of the problems stem from county lines drug operations. These are criminal networks that stretch from major cities like London and Birmingham into smaller towns. Gangs recruit vulnerable young people, often teenagers, and use them to move and sell drugs. Leicester has become a key hub in these operations. As rival gangs battle for territory, the violence escalates, leading to stabbings, beatings, and even shootings. And it's not just the gangs. Everyday street crime is also on the rise. Muggings, assaults, and break-ins are becoming more common. Some people say they don't feel safe walking in their neighborhoods after sunset. Even local police officers admit they're struggling to keep certain areas under control. The once quiet city now feels on edge, and many locals are worried it's only going to get worse. Moving on to number 9, we've got Nottingham. If you thought this city had moved on from its past reputation, you might want to think again. In 2024 alone, knife-related incidents jumped by 28%, making Nottingham one of the worst cities in the UK when it comes to violent crime. Areas like St Anne's, the Meadows, and Bradford have seen a sharp rise in gang activity, drug violence, and street attacks. One of the most disturbing trends here is the growing involvement of very young people. Some of the individuals arrested or involved in violent crimes are barely into their teens. Youth gang rivalries are heating up, and fights that once might have ended in a fistfight now end in tragedy. Broad daylight stabbings, armed robberies, and even fatal shootings are becoming more frequent. Nottingham still has a lively city centre, popular shops, and a busy nightlife scene, but when the sun sets, certain areas transform into places where many residents just don't feel safe. Even small businesses have reported more break-ins and violent confrontations with thieves. People are scared, and some say the city is heading down a dark path if things don't change soon. At number 8 is Bristol. Known for its creativity, art, and music, Bristol has always had a vibrant cultural scene. But recently, something more troubling has been developing under the surface. In 2024, the city experienced a 25% increase in violent crime, and much of it seems linked to gangs, drugs, and the general rise in street-level violence. Neighborhoods like Easton, St. Paul's, and Hartcliffe have become flashpoints for serious crime. Residents there have reported everything from muggings and burglaries to armed robberies and even shootings. In some cases, emergency services have been so overwhelmed that police response times have slowed significantly. People have shared stories of calling for help and being told that no officers are available at the moment. And that's part of the problem. Bristol's police force is stretched thin. There just aren't enough officers to cover the growing number of incidents, which means criminals feel more emboldened to act without fear of getting caught. Some neighborhoods have even seen local watch groups or vigilante groups form because residents feel abandoned by law enforcement. Bristol was once rated one of the happiest cities in the UK. But rising crime and fear among locals are starting to change that image. Many now wonder if the Bristol they once knew is disappearing. At number 7, we head north to Liverpool. A city famous for its music, football, and culture, but also a place that's been struggling with serious crime for years. Organized criminal groups have had a stronghold in certain parts of Liverpool for decades, and 2024 has been no different. In fact, it's been worse. Violent crime jumped by 27%, and areas like Toxteth, Everton, and Kirkdale saw some of the highest increases. Gun crime is one of Liverpool's most pressing issues. The city has a long history of firearms-related violence, and despite police efforts to reduce gun use, recent gang rivalries have sparked a wave of shootings. Some of them have even happened in broad daylight, right in the middle of busy neighborhoods. And knife crime is just as worrying. Several high-profile stabbings in the past year shocked residents, many involving young people wrapped up in gang life. Locals describe it as a vicious cycle. Once someone gets involved, it's nearly impossible to get out without facing serious consequences. Street crime is also up. Reports of drug-fueled assaults, street muggings, and violent robberies are more common than ever. Business owners in high-crime areas are suffering from repeated break-ins, and many people now avoid going out at night unless they have to. Now we're at number 6, Manchester. A city that's long been seen as a symbol of the UK's energy and creativity, home to major football clubs, iconic music, and vibrant neighborhoods. But it's also a city dealing with an escalating crime wave. In 2024, Greater Manchester saw a 30% rise in violent incidents. Knife crime, in particular, is at an all-time high. Districts like Cheetham Hill, Gorton, and Moss Side have become hotspots for gang activity, with long-running rivalries turning deadly. Stabbings and shootings happen so frequently in some areas that residents say it feels like they're living in a conflict zone. Gun violence is also making a comeback. The city was once nicknamed Gunchester because of its firearm-related crime. Sadly, some fear it's returning to those days. Drive-by shootings, gang executions, and other violent acts have left entire communities shaken. But it's not only gangs. More everyday crimes like muggings, carjackings, and aggressive robberies have been increasing too. Criminals are becoming more daring. Some attacks happen in broad daylight, right in front of shocked onlookers. Even Manchester's nightlife, which has always been a big part of the city's charm, is becoming more dangerous. Fights outside bars, late-night assaults, and targeted attacks are happening more often. For many, a night out now comes with a sense of unease. Manchester is a city known for its strength, but right now it's facing a serious struggle against crime, and it's not winning. If you think things are bad here, just wait until you hear about the next city on the list, where the situation is even more severe. Number 5, Birmingham. Birmingham is the second biggest city in the UK. It's famous for its busy streets, wide range of cultures, and growing economy. But hidden behind the fast development is a darker side that can't be ignored. Birmingham has one of the highest crime levels in the country, with violent incidents rising by over 32% in 2024. Knife attacks, shootings, and intense gang disputes have turned several neighborhoods into high-risk zones. Even the local police are having a hard time keeping things under control. One of the main problems is the rise of gang violence. Areas like Handsworth, Small Heath, and Aston have become hotbeds for street gangs battling over control of the drug trade. These conflicts often break out into daylight knife fights, drive-by shootings, and even targeted killings. Knife-related violence has reached frightening levels. Some parts of Birmingham are now known for deadly stabbings, and many of these attacks involve young people who are caught up in gang culture. Even random attacks are happening more often, making people feel unsafe, even in busy public places. Then there's the issue of gun crime. Police in the West Midlands have recovered more illegal guns than ever before, but shootings are still on the rise. The easy access to weapons has made violent crime even more dangerous. And it's not just about gangs. Violent robberies, attacks, and break-ins at homes are becoming more frequent across the city. Some business owners have had no choice but to hire private security just to guard their shops from repeated theft and damage. Birmingham is expanding quickly, but so is its crime problem. Number 4, Sheffield. Sheffield was once famous for its steel industry and hardworking people. But today, it's quickly becoming one of the riskiest places to live in the UK. Violent crime has gone up sharply, with a 29% increase in 2024 alone. What's causing the spike in danger? The answer is clear: gang-related crime and knife violence. Stabbings, armed muggings, and violent beatings have become more common, especially in neighbourhoods like Burngreave, Firth Park, and Page Hall. In some areas, people are too afraid to go out at night. And these aren't just one-off cases. The entire city is dealing with the problem. Even police officers admit that they're having a tough time keeping up with the growing number of crimes. They're stretched too thin, and in some neighborhoods, criminals seem to act without fear of consequences. One of the biggest worries is the rise in youth violence. Many of the worst crimes are being committed by teenagers who are part of gangs. Some are carrying knives or even guns, leading to violent street fights and revenge attacks that never seem to end. Besides violent crime, Sheffield is also seeing a rise in drug-related offences. Criminal organizations are using the city as a key location for moving and selling drugs, which is bringing in more gangs and more conflict. The more money these gangs make, the more dangerous things get. Sheffield is going through serious changes, and not the good kind. Unless something is done quickly, the situation could completely spiral out of control. As bad as Sheffield is, it's still not the most dangerous place on the list. Number 3, London. London is the heart of the UK, home to royalty, tall skyscrapers, and some of the most well-known landmarks in the world. But behind all that glamour lies a harsh reality: London is also one of the most dangerous cities in the country. In 2024 alone, the city saw over 15,000 knife crimes. Some boroughs have seen a 35% increase in violent offences. Stabbings, gang-related attacks, and random assaults have become all too common, making London one of the least safe cities in the UK. Some of the worst areas include Camden, Hackney, Tower Hamlets, and parts of Lambeth. These places have become centres of gang violence, with fights over drugs and territory turning into deadly knife attacks and drive-by shootings. For many young people, carrying a weapon has become part of everyday life. But it's not just gangs that are the problem. Street crime is out of control. Muggings, phone thefts, and even violent robberies in broad daylight are happening more often. Criminals on mopeds snatch phones and bags and disappear before the police can catch up. The scariest part: many of these crimes are never solved. Even London's nightlife has become more dangerous. Fights outside clubs, people getting drugged, and violent brawls are now regular events. Many locals don't feel safe using public transport at night anymore. Despite more police in high-crime areas, the violence continues. Some people blame gang culture, while others point to social inequality. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: London is becoming more dangerous by the day. Number 2, Glasgow. Glasgow is a city with a rich history, intense football rivalries, and a buzzing nightlife. But it also has a long-standing reputation for violence, and things haven't improved. In fact, they've gotten worse. In 2024, knife-related crime in Glasgow jumped by 31%. In some areas, stabbings are happening almost every day. The city has always had a problem with gang activity, and even with programs aimed at fixing it, gang violence still rules the streets. The most dangerous spots include Pollock, Springburn, and parts of the East End. These neighborhoods have seen a sharp increase in assaults, gang fights, and theft. And it's not just risky after dark, some areas feel unsafe during the daytime too. It's not only knife crime that's a concern. Organized crime is also growing. Glasgow plays a major role in drug trafficking, which brings even more violence. Powerful criminal groups control large parts of the illegal economy, and whenever money's involved, violence usually follows. Even more worrying is the rise in violent behavior among young people. Schools are reporting more students bringing weapons, and fights are being arranged on social media, leading to dangerous confrontations on the streets. For some teens, carrying a knife has become normal, and that's a terrifying trend. Glasgow has tried to change its image, but the data tells a different story. Despite efforts by police and community groups, the city's streets remain dangerous. But believe it or not, there's still one city that has it even worse. Number 1, Bradford. Here it is, Bradford, ranked the most dangerous city in the UK for 2025. For years, Bradford has led the charts for crime, and 2024 was its worst year yet. Violent offenses, gang-related activity, drug crimes, and antisocial behavior have hit shocking levels, making it the most unsafe place in the nation. Per person, crime in Bradford is worse than in London, Glasgow, or Birmingham. The city has been named the UK's crime capital more than once because of its extreme levels of violence. The most troubling areas include Nottingham, Leicester, and Little Horton. These neighborhoods are known for knife attacks, violent thefts, and drug-fueled assaults. In some streets, people say they no longer feel safe even inside their own homes. Gang activity is one of the major problems. Bradford is a key location for drug trafficking, with powerful criminal groups running dangerous operations. Turf wars between these gangs have led to an increase in stabbings, shootings, and even fires set on purpose. Some parts of the city are basically controlled by criminals, and residents say the police simply can't keep up. Outside of gang violence, there's also a huge problem with antisocial behavior. Shoplifting, public fights, and break-ins are happening so often that some people are too scared to go out at night. Small businesses are closing their doors, and families are desperate to move away. Bradford has officially become the most dangerous city in the UK. If nothing is done soon, things could get even worse. And that's it, the 5 most dangerous cities in the UK right now. Pretty shocking, right? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you live in any of these cities? What's the crime situation like in your area? Leave us a comment below, we read every single one. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to check out our previous episode. You won't believe what we uncovered there. And if you appreciate these deep dives, please hit that subscribe button. It's a small click, but it makes a huge difference for us. Take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you in the next one.